Magandang araw! Welcome back po sa PTABCP Business Coaching YouTube channel. Ako po si 𝗘𝗤𝗓𝗓. Isa po akong CPA at BIR Tax Agent Practitioner o yung tinatawag na TAP. Ako po ay nag-handle mga tax investigation services, mga LOA cases, mga SDT, yung mga ganyan. Bago ko po umpisa ng lecture, mag-share muna ako sa inyo ng mga insights or tax investigation and BIR LOA audit awareness. I would like to share some ano ba yung meron para aware kayo kung ano yung nangyayari, hindi yung bookkeeping ng bookkeeping o tax filing ng tax filing, tapos pinapahamak mo na pala yung sarili mo. O, dapat may idea ka anong nangyayari pagkatapos mong mag-bookkeeping. Ganito. O, pagkatapos mong mag-bookkeeping, meron kang tatlong stages na dadaanan. Itong mga stages na to, may iba't ibang due process sa ang BIR pagdating sa audit. So, group natin into 3 stages at yung mga yan. Pag nalowa ka, ito ang mga pagdadaanan mo. Sa unang stage, ayan, yung tax investigation stage. Si BIR examiner, ang purpose niya ay, ayan, i-determine yung correct amount ng taxes. Ngayon, para ma-determine niya yon, hahanap siya ng mga butas, mga mali, sa mga books, documents, and records ng business mo. O pagkatapos yan sa tax investigation stage, magkakaroon ng results of investigation. Tapos, i-discussion through notice of discrepancy at saka yung discussion of discrepancy. Ngayon, kapag okay na kayo, nagkasundo kayo magkano yung assessment, yung mga ganyan, o sinabi niya, ay ito talaga assessment, yan. Yung assessment yan yung mga nakwenta niyang kulang na babayaran mo, na meron ka pa palang additional taxes sa babayaran. Siyempre, dahil hindi mo nabayaran yon dun sa talagang deadline niya, may mga penalties yon, may mga interest na, tsaka surcharge, at saka yung mga violations na nakita niya, niya yan. Ililista niya. Tapos, pagkalista niya, i-report niya yan doon sa tinatawag na results of investigation. Yan. So, nandun yung mga assessment yan. Pagdidiskusyonan ninyo yung tungkol sa assessment. Magkano, may mga protest pa yan, yung mga ganyan. Eto na, after nyan, tax collection stage na. So, from that tax assessment division, ipapasa kay tax collection division yung inyong tax docket. So, in this stage, makongolekta na si BIR ng para sa kulang na bayad. Saka syempre, may dagdag na yun yung mga penalties at saka magkano ba yung mga yung mga violations kasi, may mga violations na may equivalent na penalties or fees, interest, surcharge yung babayaran. Yun, nakalista rin yan din dun sa results of investigation. Now, kung hindi ka makabayad, ay posibleng ipa-freeze ang bank account mo o kumpiskahin ang iyong properties at ipapa-public auction nila. Parang ganito, May nag-consult sa akin, sabi niya, yung company kasi namin meron ganito and the-freeze po ang bank account. Yung warrant and restraint levy yun. Yan. So, ayun, hihirapan silang settle kasi wala silang pera na pang dahil nga na-freeze yung account eh. Kung walang kaperahan ng business, ang mangyayari, ayan, WDL, warrant of restraint and levy, through that, is-seize ang iyong properties ng business, tapos ipapa-public auction yan. Ngayon, halimbawa walang pera at walang properties ang business, BIR will go after the business owners. Sino yan? Si sole prop, si stockholders, si partners, yung mga ganyan. So, yun yung problem nyo kapag kapag nalowa ka, ganun yung tuloy-tuloy na proseso. Meron akong video sa PTABCP Business Coaching YouTube channel tungkol sa sa mga iba't ibang processes ng bawat stages na yon. So, panoorin mo na lang. Yan, binigyan lang muna kita ng overview. Ngayon, ang ginawa ko, dahil nga nag-handle ako ng ng mga tax investigation cases, yung mga assessment, collection, cases, yung mga na-observe ko, na-unearth ko during this mga endeavor, mga audit na ginagawa nila or investigation, nag-create ako ng bookkeeping guide in actual practice, online training, and workshop. This has different variants. Meron yung B32 for percentage tax seller of services, B33 for percentage tax seller of goods, B42 for VAT registered seller of services, then B43 for VAT registered seller of goods. Etong course na to will help you na ma-strengthen your bookkeeping, yung bookkeeping ninyo. Kasi ito ay because it is tax compliant bookkeeping. Ito ang itinuturo ko sa inyo. Now, ang gagawin natin, ang strategy na ating gagawin ay i-strategize yung inyong pagbo-bookkeeping. Ang gagawin natin, make your entries in your books of accounts withstand scrutiny and investigation. Yan. So, sa training na ito yung you will learn What BIR regulations you must learn about bookkeeping and books of accounts. Kaya wag kang bookkeeping ng bookkeeping. Wag kang sulat ng entry sa books of accounts kung hindi mo pa alam kung ano-ano yung mga regulations na may kinalaman sa bookkeeping and books of accounts. Meron kasi ako nakikita during the notice of discrepancy. Ano nga naman? May sablay nga naman. Siyempre, silent lang, di ba? Okay, then ano pa yung mga aaralin natin dyan sa training na yan? Eto no, isa ang business transaction, diba? Sa business transaction na yan, iba't ibang tax jurisdiction ang dadaanan niya. So, ituturo ko sa inyo ano yung pinagdadaanan ng ganitong business transaction, saan siya susunod na business tax jurisdiction, tapos yung mga ganun. Yun, dapat naintindihan nyo yun. Kasi i-account mo yung tax na dapat mong bayaran. So, dapat itong tax jurisdiction na to, nakikwenta mo magkano yung tax mo. At dapat nakikita yun sa libro. No, na ilalagay mo yun as entry sa libro. So, kada tax jurisdiction, meron kang entry. Yan. Ano yung mga documents na magsusupport sa books entries mo, no? Huwag kang titingala lang sa langit at sasabihin mo, ito yung susulat mo, ha? Huwag ganun. Nahuhuli yun. What you must do to strategize your bookkeeping to establish tax investigation defenses. Yan, itinuturo ko yun kung paano yung gagawin nyo. Pero syempre, no, nasa tax code din yan, nasa tax regulations. Yan lang, inilalagay lang natin sa bookkeeping ninyo, sa books entries ninyo, yung mga tax regulations din, yung mga nasa tax code. Kasi yun yung magsasabi, yun yung mga defenses mo. Kailangan, malinaw yun. How to lay out your column headings. Actually, ito yon, isa sa mga sekreto para makabuo ka ng defense. Yung column headings, merong basic na column headings na hinahanap ang BIR. Meron ding, pwede ka pang idagdag para maging magawa mong mag-withstand scrutiny and investigation ang yung book entries. Yung mga ganyan, ituturo natin yan. And then, ayan, establish mo yung purpose and uses ng BIR Registered Books of Accounts kasi meron akong nakitang books na pinakita ng BIR examiner. Sabi niya, tingnan mo naman ginawa sa ledger. Oo nga naman, dapat ganun yung ginawa sa ledger. O, diba? Ano yung ginawa sa general journal? O, kapag iba-iba yung libro mo, marami kang librong pina-register, iba-iba din ang way ng pagbo-bookkeeping. Kapag dalawa lang yung libro mo, iba yung iba yung approach mo sa bookkeeping. Kung 3 yan, 4, 5, iba-iba na yun kasi parang siniseparate mo na yung mga processes sa pagbo-bookkeeping mo. Dapat alam mo kung paano yung gagawin sa mga libro na yun. Then, eto yung chart of account, may kanya-kanyang chart of account ang bawat industry. So, merong seller of goods, di ba? Iba yung cost of goods sold or cost of sale. Kaya iba yung chart of accounts niya. Sa cost of service, kung ikaw ay nagsaservicing, iba rin yung chart of accounts niya. Ayan, nagbigay ako ng sample na chart of accounts. At mahal ang magpa-map out ng chart of accounts. Nasa 70,000 pataas yan. Kaya, maswerte ka. Yan. At ito ang pinaka-substance ng iyong mga entries. Ito, naglagay na ako dyan ng listahan ng mga proforma entries ay para makapag-bookkeeping ka ng iyong mga business transactions. Kasi diba sabi ko may iba't ibang dadaanan na tax jurisdiction. Ngayon, sa bawat tax jurisdiction, yung entry para doon, inilista ko na dyan sa proforma entry. Yung tax jurisdiction na dadaanan naman na pangalawa, nandun na din yung proforma entry, then yung so on and so forth, yung mga ganyan. Kaya maswerte ka. Alam niyo ba, matanda ka ng training niya to? Itong proforma entries lang, nasa 50,000 na yung training niya. Kaya ikaw, maswerte ka. Dahil ikinondense, inilagay ko, yung mga nabanggit ko, inilagay ko dyan sa training na yan. Para matulungan kita. Dahil alam mo yun, nakakaawa ang taxpayer pagdating sa mga hearing-hearing. Documentation, bookkeeping. Kung totoo sinaaral naman, bakit hindi natin aralin ang tax code, ang mga regulation, at i-condense natin, merge natin, pagsamasamahin natin dun sa pagbo-bookkeeping, paggawa ng book entries, yan. Paano ba pinagsasama-sama? Ay, syempre, aralin mo ang tax. So, ayan, ginawa ko na yan dyan sa training na yan. Eto, yung paggamit ng loose leaf, how to prepare the books of accounts in a loose leaf format, at saka paano paggamit ng manual books of accounts, nandiyan sa training na yan. Yan, kung ikaw ay gumagamit ng MS Excel, ito yung iba gumagamit ng MS Excel muna bago magsulat sa libro, kung ganyan ang estilo mo, ito, gumawa ako ng automation ng bookkeeping. Ayan, i-automate mo yung bookkeeping sa MS Excel para madali kang makapag-compute ng mga tax schedules, yung mga tax dues mo, yung mga other financial reports mo. Andyan, tinuro ko dyan sa training na yan, kaya workshop itong training na ito. Kailangan marunong-runong kang mag-MS Excel. Doon tinuturo ko naman kung paano yung mga step by step dito. Yan ang nandyan sa training na yan. So yun, ma-experience mo how a bookkeeper and practitioner would do when rendering bookkeeping services through the workshop exercises. Yan. Kasi may case study. So magbo-bookkeeping tayo ng isang company. Paano yung pagbo-bookkeeping ng isang practitioner? Ako, yan. Normally, ito process na ito, ganito yung ginagawa ko sa bookkeeping. Bookkeeping clients namin. Hindi ako gumagamit ng software. Kasi ang mga software, mas mahirap i-clean up. Marami nag-hire, nagtatanong, ma'am, paano ba yung ganito? I-clean up namin itong ganitong software kasi mali ang implement nila. Yung mga gumagamit ng Xero, QuickBooks, ayan, meron akong partner na Xero or QuickBooks Implementation Services. Magaling siya, no? Nakarating na siya sa isa sa mga matataas na level pagdating sa mga ganyan. Yung mga Xero, gagamitin nyo yan sa costing o inventory management, yung mga ganon. Kung gusto nyo gumamit ng software. Kasi actual costing ang kailangan nyo, lalo na pagka kayo ay manufacturing. Inventory management naman sa mga merchandising retailing na mga businesses, yun. Kapag malaki-laki kayong company, gumamit ka ng software. Pero sa bookkeeping, iba kasi yung pagtatrack ng costing na gagamitin mo sa mga inventory valuation. Iba rin yung pagbo-bookkeeping. So, yun yung titingnan mo. Meron kasing evaluation, magkano yung dapat na amount ng isang account. Yun yung yan yung makakatulong sa iyo, yung Xero para sa valuation. Pero yung bookkeeping entries, eto, nandito. Nilagay ko sa proforma entries. And many more, no? Marami kang matututunan dyan. Actually, alam mo, ito, ginawa nila, ginamit nilang guide paggawa ng bookkeeping manual, itong training na ito. Alam niyo magkano ang bookkeeping manual? Nasa 100,000 pataas. Pero nagawa nila, no? Sinundan nila yung na-immerse sila, sinundan nila yung proseso, mga tinuturo ko dito. Yun, nagawa nilang ganun. Natutuwa nga ako na nagamit nila sa yan, na maiayos ang kanilang bookkeeping section. Etong training na to, naka-promo yan. Naka 60% to 75% discount siya. Depende sa variant na appropriate for you. Makakatipid ka talaga ng malaki. Great deal yan talaga. So, get started today. Act fast. Where to register, click the link in the description. You may contact us at 0916-587-1528 or email us at ilearn@easantoscpa.com. Dun sa BKG-DOD, explain ko lang, eto na, pupunta ka kay 𝗘𝗥𝗔𝗕𝗖𝗣.com para yan yung platform or school ng online school, academy yan. Nandito yung mga courses, nandyan. Tapos, kapag ka mag-enroll ka, punta ka dun sa trainingptabcp.com. Yan sa may video on demand. Actually, ito yun eh. Bisitahin mo yan. Yun. Punta ka sa training.ptabcp.com, i-click mo itong BOD, online training, study anywhere, anytime. Dito ka mapupunta. Yan, i-click mo yan dito. Kung gusto mo ng details, dito mo makikita yan. Pagka-click mo dito, ito ka, diyan ka mapupunta. Yan, ito yung details ng BKG-POD. Bookkeeping ka din acto practice. Yan. Yan. Alright. Now, somewhere dyan, kung ano yung curriculum ng bawat module, may part 1, part 2 ito kasi. Yan, ito. I-click mo to, BKG 410, at saka ito, BKG 430. Kunyari, ito yung pinili mo na, yung B43. So, bawat naman, BKG, bawat variant, may ganyan. Pagka-clinic mo yan, dito ka mapupunta. Ito yung 410, ito yung makikita mo na curriculum. Ito yung mga inaaral dyan. Mahaba siya, kaya 3 days ang training. Kung tatasin ko lang 3 days. Ayan no, yung na yan, compact na yung 3 days. Ito yung BKG 410. Ito naman yung workshop. Ito yung BKG 430. Sa BKG 420, BKG 320, or BKG 330. So, nandito yung mga inaaral, no? Yan. Haba mo. Yeah, actually, mahaba yan. Yan, mahaba talaga yan, no? Marami kang matututunan for that promo price. Alright? Ito, what's more? Yan na yan. Alright. Ito ang ating pag-aaralan today. Yung Revenue Regulations 9-2009. Dito nagka-refer ng legal basis pagdating sa maintenance, retention, and submission of electronic records. Dito nag-umpisa yung yan. So, babasahin natin siya. Tapos, magbibigay ako ng opinion. Opinion or experience. Yan. Share tayo na experience. Revenue Regulations 9-2009. Okay. Subject, maintenance, retention, and submission of electronic records. All internal revenue records and others concerned. Diyan yung naka-2. Yung section 1, ang purpose niya, ano daw ang purpose nitong RR 9-2009? The purpose of these regulations are to define the requirements, obligations, and responsibilities imposed on taxpayers for electronic record keeping and maintenance of electronic books of accounts, electronic records, and other sources of information under the National Internal Revenue Code or NIRC as amended. So, ito ay para sa electronic yan, record keeping. Electronic record keeping, so para siyang electronic bookkeeping, ganun. Yan, keeping and maintenance, no? Record keeping, maintenance, yan. Anong minemaintain? Yung books of accounts, yung records, and yung ibang other sources ng information. So, kung ikaw ay naka-digital or naka-electronic para sa yung books, sa pag-maintain ng yung records, ito ay isa sa dapat mong nababasa. Yun. It is also the purpose of these regulations to address the requirement for retention of records through various processes and systems, including, but not limited to, computer, electronic, and imaging processes. No, i-address daw nila yung requirements for retention ng records. So, ito rin yung mangingibabaw sa retention ng electronic records. These regulations also provide the requirements for the access and submission of electronic records. Kasi nga, no, ginagamit itong electronic records mo. Pagka sinadmit mo ito na yung babasihan ng BIR. Lalo na pag naloba ka or meron kang tax case. At sinasubmit ang electronic records. The regulation shall make it mandatory for large taxpayers classified under Revenue Regulations number 1-98 to maintain and or adopt a computerized accounting system or CAS. Yan. So, tignan natin. Yung mga large taxpayers, yan, dapat naka-computerized accounting system sila or naka-CAS. Right. Save ko muna. Okay. Next. For the purpose of these regulations, these terms shall be defined as follows. Database management system. Ano ibig sabihin ng database management system, no? Means a software system that controls, relates, retrieves, and provides accessibility to data stored in a database. So, software system siya. Yeah. Yung electronic data interchange or EDI technology means the computer-to-computer exchange of business transactions in a standardized, structured electronic format. Good. Yung hard copy means any documents, records, reports, or other data printed on paper. No? Hard copy is yung printed sa papel. Then, pag sinabing electronic record, anong ibig sabihin yan? Ang electronic record means a collection of related information in an electronically readable format. Okay? Electronic records do not include hard copy records that are created or recorded on paper or stored in or by an imaging system such as microfilm, microfiche, or storage-only imaging system. Yun daw siya, no? Ang electronic record, yung information ay readable electronically or digital. Ito katulad nitong ating pagbabasa ngayon sa monitor or screen ng computer. This is an electronic copy of this PDF or 9-2009. Kapag print ko itong PDF na to, hard copy na yun. Yun yung yun yung ating pinagkaiba ng electronic record or hard copy. So, sinasabi niya, electronic records do not include hard copy records. Yun. Yung hard copy records o kaya yung mga yung mga na-image na system through microfilm. Nakakita na ba kayo nito? Yung sa bank kasi, yung nagtatrabaho ako. May mga checker na ini-image nila. Imaging ang tawag doon. Parang sinisirox pero hindi naman sirox. Parang ini-store siya sa isang storage. Parang parang yun, pinoproduce or sinisirox. Pero yung output hindi doon sa papel na pupunta, doon sa sa imaging system na na i-store Tapos yun, nilalagay nila sa isang electronic storage, tapos nilalagay sa phone. Yun yung ano. Ito yung microfill, Ito hindi ko alam kung paano pinapronounce yun. Fishing. Oh, bahala na kayo. Okay, yung electronically readable format. Ano ibig sabihin ng electronically readable format? Means information supported by a system capable of producing an accessible and usable copy. Na? Yun, electronically readable format. Ito katulad nitong RR9-2009. This is electronically readable format kasi nababasa natin via a computer, while yung hard copy naman is mababasa natin kapag printed. Accessible copy means that the taxpayers must provide an acceptable copy of the electronic records in an electronically readable and usable format to Bureau of Internal Revenue tax auditors or examiners or investigators. So, no, itong tax auditors sila yung examiners or investigators to permit them to process and analyze the electronic record on BIR equipment. A copy is usable if the electronic records can be processed and analyzed with BIR audit software. May audit software ang BIR. So kapag na-open nila yung yung records mo through that audit software, that is electronically readable format. Halimbawa, nagbigay ka ng MS Excel na copy sa BIR. Ikaw may MS Excel, doon mo ginawa yung report, tapos sinave mo sa USB or DVD, binigyan mo na copy si BIR. Si BIR, yung kanyang device, dapat meron ding MS Excel para ma-open niya yung file mo. Yun yung electronically readable format. Or meron pang isang BIR audit format talaga o software si BIR. Kasi di ba nagpapasubmit sila ng mga file. That file, yung mga yon nabubuksan ng BIR through that software. Yun. The usable copy must be in a non-proprietary, commonly used data interchange format that is compatible with BIR software. Paano mo naman malalaman na compatible sa BIR software yon? So, dapat, napag-uusapan. Hindi ka basta yung gagamit na electronic, yung electronic management. Kailangan, compatible pag-usapan with the BIR. That's why nagpapa-approve muna ng Pero itong RR9- ito electronic copy, yung CAS, meron niyang updated version. In-update nila yon sa 5-RR5-2021, ito, RMC 5-2021. Later, babasahin natin ito. Kasi update siya ng RR9-2008. Pero mahaba kasi itong RR9-2009. Baka pag-amin na lang natin. Paghiwalayin. Tingnan ko ha. Kung pwede natin pagdugtungin o baka masyado ng mahaba. Then yung storage-only imaging system. Storage-only imaging system means a system of computer hardware and software that provides for the storage, retention, and retrieval of documents originally created on paper. It does not include any system or part of a system that manipulates or processes any information or data contained on the document in any manner other than to reproduce the documents in hard copy or as an optical image. Nakakita na ako nito. Sa bangkong pinagtatrabahuhan ko dahil. Taxpayer is used in these regulations means corporations, companies, partnerships, or persons required to keep books of accounts necessary to a determination of tax liability. Electronic record keeping. Electronic record keeping means those electronic business systems that create, process, store, maintain, and provide access to the financial records of a person whose nawala ako. Electronic record keeping means the electronic business systems that create, process, store, maintain, and provide access to the financial records of a person, including but not limited to custom and commercial accounting software. Yan. Point of sale system and internet-based electronic commerce business system. Yan. Media refers to the physical forms of recorded information. This includes paper, film, computer disks, computer tapes, and other materials on which information can be recorded. Then, yung CDR o yung compact disc recordable. means an optical data storage written and read using lasers that can be read or viewed only but cannot be modified, deleted, or written over with new data. Recordable CDs are warm, or yung write once, read multiple. DVD-R, digital video disc recordable, refers to a new generation of optical disc storage technology which holds more data than the CDR. Siguro naman alam niyo pa to, yung mga bagong register naman. Alam niyo pa itsura ng CDR at saka DVD-R, ano? Kasi ngayon puro USB flash drives. Bihira ang DVD-R at saka yung CDR. Parang wala ng CDR. More on meron pang DVD-R. Electronic record keeping requirements, general. O, ito yung, kailangan mong maintindihan, ha? Ito. Yung recording or record keeping requirements. A taxpayer shall maintain all records that are necessary for the determination of the correct tax liability under Section 232 of the NIRC. Ito, tatandaan mo to, no? So, regardless kung electronic yung ginagamit ng pagre-record keeping o kaya yung manual na record keeping, etong Section 232 kailangan sinusundan ng lahat ng taxpayers. All required records must be made available on request by the Commissioner of Internal Revenue or its authorized representative. Ito pa kasi sinabing all records required must be made available. Ito, must be made available on request. Yan. Ibig sabihin nito, during tax mapping, kailangan kung ikaw ay tina-tax map, na ipapakita mo siya. Or, especially during audit, tax investigation. Pero sa tax investigation kasi, available na kay BIR examiner yung data niya dahil isinasubmit ang mga CAS tuwing January 30 ng bawat taon. So, kung nakapagbigay na ng copy ng CAS, ayun, ibig sabihin, available na yun. O, so, i-point out mo na lang na nag-submit ka na ng CAS. Paano mo masasabing na kapag ka, meron tong transmittal at saka yung oath na meron sworn declaration. Yun, dapat yung sworn declaration yung about CAS, yung malinaw yung printing, yung tinatahan sa received. At saka naka-orus na kasi. So, bago ka mag-submit ng CAS, kailangan mag-print out ka muna ng orus para sa CAS. Yun. Kailangan malinaw yun. Dati kasi, meron kaming nalowa. Yung sworn declaration nila, tawag dito, yung halos wala ng tinta yung pinantatak dun sa yung in-stampad doon. Kaya, every time na hinihingi yun, yung original na yung dinadala namin para i-compare dun sa Xerox. Kasi pag nung sa Xerox, hindi na mabasa. Yun. Yan lang. Kapag may ganun-ganun pa ini-stamp, yung padoble nyo kapag yung ink ay malabo na. Kasi during the LOA, tinitignan yun. Kapag at saka sa court, kung sakaling sumampa sa court yung kaso, sana wag, diba? Tinitignan din yung yung Xerox yun. Sa Xerox, may mga kasi stamp na hindi na yung stampad na malalabo, hindi na nakikita sa Xerox. Okay, yung 3.2. 3.2, yan. 3.1 yung isa. 3.2. If a taxpayer retains records required to be kept under this regulation in both electronic and hard copy formats, the taxpayer shall make the records available to the Bureau of Internal Revenue in electronic format upon request of the Commissioner or its authorized representative. So, mag-prepare ka pa rin ng hard copy mo, no? Though, meron kang hard copy, pero yung electronic copy, ayan, kapag ka ni-request, kailangan ay available siya. Nothing in this regulation shall be construed to prohibit Nothing in this regulation shall be construed to prohibit a taxpayer from demonstrating tax compliance with traditional hard copy documents or reproductions thereof, in whole or in part. Whether or not such taxpayer also has retained or has the capability to retain records on electronic or other storage media in accordance with this regulation. However, this subsection shall not relieve the taxpayer of the obligation to comply with subsection 3.2 of this regulation. Again, ito yung 3.2. Yung meron kang electronic and hard copy formats. Hindi ka daw nire-restrict. Parang gano'n sinasabi niya, kung nag-manual ka,
dapat kung yung pagmamanual mo na record keeping is the same din yung kalalabasan pagka nag-electronic record keeping ka. Yung yun yung ito mo, 3.3. Okay. Okay. So, shall be construed, no? Nothing shall be construed to prohibit. Section 4, electronic record keeping requirements for large taxpayers. LTP, large taxpayers. All. Yan. 4.1, all large taxpayers classified under Revenue Regulations number 1-98 are required to maintain computerized accounting systems o yung CAS or components thereof. Accordingly, all books of accounts and accounting records shall be in electronic format. So, requirement ito, no? Requirement siya. Kasi required eh. Kailangan kapag ikaw ay large taxpayer, nakakas ka na. Ayun yan, ha? Electronic formats yung nyo, all. Yung libro, yung accounting records nyo ay naka-electronic format. Okay? All large taxpayers are currently maintaining their books of accounts and accounting records in manual form are required to maintain or required to register their computerized accounting systems not later than December 31, 2009. So, ito period ng 2009 na ito yung transition na yung mga LTP na naka-manual dati, kailangan bago mag-December 31, naka-computerized accounting system na. So, kung ikaw ay LTP, kailangan computerized accounting system ka. A large taxpayer using commercial and or customized software to keep books and records electronically is not relieved of the responsibility to keep adequate electronic records because of deficiencies in the software. Ano pa yung requirement sa'yo? Meron kang responsibility na yung adequate records mo. Kasi minsan, di ba, may mga deficiencies sa software. Hindi lahat functional or nandun yung function or capable of yung other records mo ay ma-capture niyo. Okay, ano to? Ito para sa large taxpayers. Yung section 5 ay electronic record keeping requirements ng electronic records. Yung isa, ito ay general from large taxpayers. Tapos ito ay electronic records naman. General requirements. Okay. Electronic records used to establish tax compliance shall contain sufficient transaction level detailed information so that the details underlying the electronic records can be identified and made available to the Bureau of Internal Revenue upon request. A taxpayer has discretion to discard duplicated records and redundant information provided its responsibilities under regulations are met. Kailangan na meron kang contain, no? Sufficient transaction level detail information ng tax compliance. Pero syempre dapat alam mo yung tax compliance, ano yung mga dapat mong i-comply. Tapos doon sa software mo, yung information na kailangan para dito sa tax compliance, nandoon. Yun. Yung 5.1.2. At the time of an examination, the retained records must be capable of being retrieved and converted to a standard record format in accordance with Revenue Regulations number 16-2006. O kung ikaw ay electronic yung format mo sa CAS, dapat nasusundan din yung standard record format ng RR 16-2006. Yun. 5.1.3, taxpayers are not required to construct electronic records other than those created in the ordinary course of business. A taxpayer who does not create the electronic equivalent of a traditional paper document in the ordinary course of business is not required to construct such a record for tax purposes. Hindi mo daw kailangan magbuo other than those created in the ordinary. Pero sinasabi niya, ito kailangan kasi ito, naintindihan mo yung ordinary course of business ito. Kung ano yung ginagawa mo normally doon sa ordinary course of business, yan. O, kasi baka may mga records kayong para makadagdag ng expenses. Yan, para lumaki ang expenses nyo, meron pa kayong ginagawang ibang record para no? So, dapat wag mong gagawin yun. Yun. 5.2 electronic data interchange requirements. 5.2.1, where a taxpayer uses electronic data interchange processes and technology, the level of record detail in combination with other records related to the transactions must be equivalent to that contained in an acceptable paper record. For example, the written record should contain such information as vendor name, invoice date, product description, quantity purchased, price, amount of tax, indication of tax status, shipping detail, etc. Ayan. Codes may be used to identify some or all of the data elements provided that the taxpayer shall provide a method which would allow the Bureau of Internal Revenue to convert the coded information into an auditable data. Alright, no? Sinasabi nila kapag gumamit ka ng electronic data or nag-electronic record keeping ka, yung information na kinakailangan, katulad nito yung vendor name, itong mga nandito, invoice date, nandun sa iyong electronic records, ito mga product description, quantity purchase. Kaya pipiliin mo talaga yung mag-create ng program. Kasi kailangan itong mga information na kailangan ng BIR ay na-capture ng iyong programmer. Okay? Kaya meron din mga accredited programmer ng BIR. Doon ka kasi alam na nila, doon ka mag-avail. O kaya yung programmer mo, may dati may difference ngayon pala dito sa RMC 5-2021 hindi na kinakailangan ng PTU to. Ito dito nakalagay dati dapat naka-PTU nung RR9 9-2009. Dito sa RMC 5-2021 ina-allow na nilang gumamit ng CAS kahit walang PTU. Pero may mga information ipo-provide mo lang. Okay, sa RR 9-2009, balik tayo doon. Yung 5.2.2, the taxpayer may capture the information necessary to satisfy Section 5.2.1 at any level within the accounting system and did not retain the original EDAI transaction records provided the audit trail, authenticity, and integrity of the retained records can be established. For example, a taxpayer using electronic data interchange technology receives electronic invoices from its suppliers. The taxpayer decides to retain the invoice data from completed and verified EDI transactions in its accounts payable system rather than to retain the EDI transactions themselves. Since neither the EDI transaction nor the accounts payable system captures information from the invoice pertaining to product description and vendor name, i.e., they contain only codes for that information. The taxpayer also retains other records such as its vendor master file and product description list and makes them available to the Bureau of Internal Revenue. In this example, the taxpayer need not retain its EDI transaction for tax purposes. Medyo technical na to, no? Itong 5.2.2. Pero sundan niyo yun. Kasi merong mga transaction na, tawag dito. Yung merong trail, minsan kasi yung books, meron pang transaction list, meron silang tawag dyan nakalimutan ko lang. Bukod dun sa pinaka-books na pinoproduce ng ng electronic records, meron transaction list or meron pa silang isang terminology. Nakalimutan ko lang yun. Okay, itong 5.3 electronic data processing systems requirements. The requirements for an electronic data processing accounting system should be similar to that of a manual accounting system, in that an adequately designed accounting system should incorporate methods and records that will satisfy the requirements of this regulation. So dito, ang sinasabi nila dyan sa processing system requirement, kung paano ka nagmamanual accounting system, dapat ganun din yung process na electronic data processing mo. Yun. Similar. Kapag yung mga records mo, binukit ko ng manual, kung ano yung electronic data amounts mo, ganun din. Pareho doon sa manual accounting system. The information that is required to recreate a sequence of events related to a business transaction must include sufficient detail to substantiate summarized information. The electronic records do not show an audit trail from the source documents. whether paper or electronic, to the summarized financial records. In addition, the trail may also include a number of links to other associated processes and events such as front-end systems, yung e-commerce o yung point of sale, then receipts, payments, and stock inventories, all of which may have their own system audit trails. For example, in internet-based e-commerce transactions, other records such as weblogs, emails, when used as part of that transaction, easy invoice and confirmations, or security measures such as digital signatures could be an important part of audit trail. Transactions covered by a trading partner agreement of electronic data interchange or EDI, the electronic records, including functional acknowledgement, have to be kept. It is the taxpayer's responsibility to ensure the reliability and readability of this transaction record. Yun lang yung sinasabi nito, 5.3. Dapat merong audit trail, yung electronic records mo. Kaya niyang mag-trace back. Mula dun sa final numbers mo ay yung final summarized information mo, pwede niyang i-trace back, yung from the numbers ng final, pabalik doon sa source document. 5.3.3. The taxpayers keeping electronic records must also retain source documents. A source document includes items such as sales invoices, purchase invoices, cash register receipts, formal written contracts, credit cards, receipts, delivery slips, deposit slips, work orders, buckets, checks, bank statements, tax returns, and could also include emails and other general correspondence whether relevant for tax purposes. Ayun. Ay, dito, sinasabi sa 5.3, kailangan, kung ikaw ay gumagamit ng electronic records, yung source document mo, di ba, pagka magta-transact ka ng mag-encode ka ng mga expenses, mga purchases, nire-record mo dun sa iyong electronic record keeping. Yung mga binigay na record ng iyong mga supplier, vendor, yung mga yun, i-keep mo pa rin yun. Hindi yung pagka-record mo tapon. Hindi ganun yun. I-keep mo yun kasi kasama yan sa titignan kapag ikaw ay under tax investigation. Okay, business process information. 5.4.1, upon the request of the Commissioner of Internal Revenue or its authorized representative, the taxpayer shall provide a description of the business process that created the retained records. Such a description shall include the relationship between the records and the tax documents prepared by the taxpayer and the measures employed to ensure the integrity of the records. Ito, description of the business process. So, pwedeng kasama dito yung workflow. Yan yun. Yung workflow schedule or yung workflow chart workflow. 5.4.2. The taxpayer shall be capable of demonstrating, among others, the following. The functions being performed as they relate to the flow of data through the system, the internal controls used to ensure accurate and reliable processing, and the internal controls used to prevent unauthorized addition, alteration, or deletion of retained records. Ito yung system na nagawa mo, kapag hindi na i-edit. Kunyari, say posted na siya. Once na post na, hindi na siya editable. Ganon. Hanggat hindi pa na-post, hindi pa na-approve ng pinaka-approving officer. Ayun, pwede mo siyang i-edit. Pero once na na-approve yan ng audit officer mo, o ng iyong approval officer, dapat hindi na yan na-i-edit. Meron siyang control na i-ensure yung accurate and reliable processing. Tapos, meron siyang control na nape-prevent yung addition, alteration, or deletion ng retained records. So, makikita mo dapat yun. Yan, may log. Nakikita yan sa log. Yung history ng paano ginamit yung system. O yung electronic record keeping. 5.4.3, the documentation required for electronic records retained shall, among others, include the following. Record formats or layout, documentation. Records of formats or layout, field definitions, including the meaning of all codes used to represent information, file description o yung data set name, and detailed chart of accounts and account descriptions. Ayun, eto kailangan meron ka pa rin ito, yung layout mo, yung format ng record, mga field definition, description, at saka yung description ng iyong chart of accounts. Eto, regardless kung ikaw ay electronic, yung record keeping mo o nagma-manual bookkeeping ka, etong field na to ay mandatory doon sa libro mo, yung buksa bakas na ginagamit mo. Kapag gumagamit ka ng general ledger, ito, nandun dapat yung date, yung reference, yung brief description o yung explanation, yung account title o yung account code if chart of accounts master file is available. Yung iba naman kasi, yung code ng chart of accounts yun nandun, say 111-1100. Yung mga yon, pero dapat available yung master file ng chart of account mo. Ito yung sinasabi nila, ha? Yung 1, may 1 dun. Tingnan natin kung ano yung 1. Ang 1 contains fields such as account code, account title, or name. Yun yun. So, ang master file mo, yung chart of accounts talaga, laman niya yun na may account code, may account title, o yung account name. Pati description, isulat mo. Then, ito yung meron siyang column na debits and credits. Yan. So, ayan yung mga column ng iyong general ledger. Sa general journal naman, ganun din. Meron siyang date, reference, brief description or explanation, account title o yung account code if chart of accounts master file is available, and then yung debits, credits. Anong pinagkaiba ng general ledger at saka general journal? May pinagkaiba yan, Though pareho yung kanilang information na kailangan, ito sa general journal at saka ito sa general ledger, tingnan mo pareho sila. Etong general ledger, naka-T account yung format niyan. Nakikita mo yung column ng debit at saka yung column ng credit magkahiwalay, hindi magkatabi. Ito sa general ledger. Mapapansin mo para siya naka-T account. Yung sa general journal, yung debit at credit niya na columns magkatabi. Yun yun. Tingnan niyo yung book sa accounts niya. Ito si general ledger, kapag ka manual format ka, pwede ka kasi yung normal, yung parang naka-T account. Pero kapag ka ikaw ay naka-electronic format, pwedeng magkatabi yung debit and credit niya. Ang tawag doon yung running balance method ng general ledger. Merong running balance format at saka T account format. Tandaan mo ito sa general ledger, ha? Yun. Kasi baka T account lang yung alam mo, merong running balance format. Ang running balance format, meron pang ika-third column mula sa debit credit. Merong debit credit na column na magkatabi, tapos isa pang column na balance. Yun. Sales journal, ito. Yung sales journal, ito ang laman ng iyong sales journal. Merong date, merong customer's PIN, customer's name, o yung customer code if master file is available. Contains code, PIN, name, address, etc. Actually, kahit sa manual, pwede kang gumamit ng ng coding. Customer code at saka yung account code. Yun. Tapos yung code mo, ilagay mo doon, isulat mo doon sa likod ng iyong books. Pwede yun. Nasa, Policies and Procedures Manual, ilagay mo yan doon kung gusto mong gano'n. Para hindi, para every time, hindi yung sulat ka ng sulat sa halimbawa, ABC, Corporation, Construction Services. Ang haba, kung i-code mo na lang siya ng C001, o ilagay mo C001. Tapos ilagyan mo lang ng note somewhere dyan sa page na yun. C, back of the, C page ganito for the, code, master file, yun. Then, itong address, description, yung reference or yung document number or yung sales invoice number, gano'n. Meron yung laman. Ito yung address. Yung column number, yung letter D, not necessary if customer file is available. O kasi minsan yung address ang haba-haba, di ba? Merong number, may, may room number, merong, yung area number, parang ganyan, di ba? Parang hindi nakasa doon sa yung, sa yung libro, pwede kang gumamit ng customer master file na lang. Lagay mo doon, C001, na doon sa column ng address. Yun. And then, yung amount, yung discount, VAT amount, or yung output tax net sales. So, ito yung basic, ha? Ito yung sinasabing mandatory. Pwede ka rin maglagay pa ng ibang fields, no? Sabi lang naman dito, yung mandatory. Ayan, no? Mandatory. Parang basic, yun. Then, yung purchase journal mo. So, lalabas itong sales journal. Ito yung SSJ, Subsidiary Sales Journal. Kasi ito yung VAT. Meron siyang VAT amount tsaka net sales. Basahin mo yung section 113 ng tax code. Makikita mo yung description nito. Ito na yun. Yung sales journal. Then, yung purchases journal. Yung date, supplier's TIN, vendor's name, or yung vendor code if vendor master file is available. Then, yung address, description, reference, document number, or sales invoice. Kasi yung document number pwede OR 010, ganyan. Sales invoice number SI 020, ganun. Pwede ganun, no? Amount, discount, but output, or yung input tax, but amount, yun. And then yung net purchases. Yan yung mga basic columns na kailangan mo. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tingin kayo mga 14 columns pataas yung gamitin nyo dito sa SSJ at saka SPJ. Yan. Then sa letter D, ito yung inventory book. Yung inventory book, kung ikaw ay hindi naman merchandising at hindi ka manufacturing, pwede wala ka ng inventory book. Kasi ang inventory book ginagamit ng mga merchandisers or yung trading o kaya yung mga manufacturing businesses. Anong laman ng inventory book? Yan, may date, product name, o yung product code, product description, master file is available. Yan. Description, unit, price per unit, amount. No? Pag mag-maintain ka ng inventory book, i-consider mo yung systems ng inventory. Merong perpetual, may periodic, tapos meron pa yung mga valuation like FIFO, weighted average, yung mga ganon. LIFO is no longer accepted ng BIR. LIFO is first out, LIFO is last in, first out. Yung LIFO is yung last in, first out. Hindi na tinatanggap ng ng BIR yun. Kung magla-LIFO ka, hindi na acceptable yung mag-weighted average, pwede. Yun. The Commissioner of Internal Revenue or its authorized representative can prescribe additional fields when needed. O, yan na. So, yung mga nasa taas dyan, yung binanggit dyan, yun yung mandatory, pero pwede pa rin magdagdag. Okay. Sa page 6 pala yun. At titignan mo yung page 6 ng RR 9-2009 kung ikaw ay, magbo-bookkeeping. Tingnan nyo kasi regardless to electronic or manual books, yan yung mga fields na kailangan makikita doon sa inyong libro. Okay, next. So, tignan mo, kung ito, walang cash receipts book at saka cash receipts journal, basic, ito yung mga Ito yung mga books na kailangan mo, general ledger, general journal. Ngayon yung sales journal, kung hindi ka naman VAT registered, at saka itong purchase journal, hindi ka VAT registered, hindi mo kailangan. Ito naging kailangan nila kasi large taxpayer na sila. Ang large taxpayer or yung LTP ay above 3 million. Kaya naka-indicate yung sales journal at saka yung purchase journal. O, yun. 5.5, Transaction Integrity and Security Systems Controls. 5.5.1, a taxpayer carrying on a business with an electronic business system must ensure that adequate controls are in place, which safeguards accuracy, security, and integrity of the electronic records processed and kept in that system. This can include, sinasabi dito yung ito, yung ensure na adequate control are in place. No. So, paano mo yung ginagawa? Ito yun. Access controls to ensure that only authorized users can have access to a computer system to process data. Input and output controls that ensure the accuracy and security of the information created, received, and transmitted. Processing controls that protect and ensure the integrity of the information processed by the system. Backup controls that guarantee the retention of backup copies of electronic records, computer programs, system documentation, and the recovery of electronic records in case of system failure. And controls to ensure there is no accidental or intentional editing or deletion of recorded or completed transaction. Ito yung pinaka-importante kay BIR. Yung ensure mo na walang pwedeng maganap na accidental or intentional editing or deletion ng completed records. Ibig sabihin ng completed records yung mga approved records na posted and approved records na isinasama ninyo sa pagko-compute or pag-generate, pag-arrive ng inyong mga financial statements or financial information. Kasi doon nakabasa yung inyong tax information, ng mga tax reporting ninyo. Changes to any recorded transaction must be made by journal entry, be adequately documented, and included the following. So, ito kung may changes ka, di ba meron kang original na completed transaction, kung meron ka mang i-edit doon, through journal entry mo gagawin. Sa mga JB, meron kang dapat journal entry voucher. Yung iba, ibang tawag doon. Yung iba ay JB. Yun. Kapag meron kang journal or JEV, ganyan, journal entry voucher. Pag mga adjusting entries yung karamihan naman nun. No, so ano ang dapat laman ng yung mga JV o itong mga journal entry mo? Yung taong nagmo-modify, person making modifications. Ano pa? Yung date ng change, yung previous transaction details, yung current transaction details, and yung reason for the change or deletion. Importante yan. 5.6. Changes to business systems. 5.6.1, if changes to the operating and or electronic business system occur, the capability to access and retrieve data must be preserved. The changes must not result in a loss, destruction, or alteration of information and data relevant to the determination of taxes payable, collected, or withheld. Adequate documentation must be retained to preserve an accurate chronological record of the changes, including any changes to software or system, and the format of the files. These changes must be reported to the BIR before implementation of such changes. Before implementing yung 5.6.2, before implementing a new business system, the taxpayer must ensure that, ano yung dapat mo na in-ensure? Sandali, dito sa 5.6.1, eto tandaan, mga adequate documentation. Nandun dapat. Okay? Maintain mo yun. Dito, bago ka mag-implement ng business system, yung binago mo ng mga changes mo, yung sufficient detail will be captured and produced. Ito kasi yung dapat yan. No? Sufficient detail will be captured and produced to ensure proper determination of internal revenue taxes administered by the BIR. The audit trail of each transaction will be preserved to allow BIR auditors to verify accuracy of internal revenue taxes determined by the taxpayer. Adequate internal controls are incorporated in the system to ensure that all transactions are being recorded accurately and completely. The system ensures transaction integrity and security. The system will capture and save in a readable format the information required by the BIR. BIR auditors will have access to all information produced by the system and required by the BIR to verify the filed returns. Adequate backup and restore procedures will be in place to safeguard information required by the BIR. And the system will continue to offer the capacity to export the required information into a commonly used non-proprietary format. Ay, meron nga pala akong i-add, Ngayon, itong panahon na 2023, yung CIR natin, Commissioner of Internal Revenue, meron silang mga cases na final against, yung gumagamit ng suppression machine. Yung suppression machine kasi, parang inilalagay yun sa sa mga electronic recording, more on mga POS, mga CRM, yung mga ganyan. Ang purpose is parang mapaliit yung, hindi ako sure kung anong yung suppression, parang mapaliit yung mga benta. Ay, wag kayong mag-aano ng gano'n mag-a-avail ng gano'n kung ayaw nyong makulong. Kasi yun, pwede kayong kasuhan ng BIR pagka gano'n. Sa mga, yung nagtitinda na suppression machine pa ata ay hindi ko lang sigurado kung BIR employee siya o asawa siya ng BIR employee. Pero ang sabi, tinanggal na, kung sino man sa kanila yung BIR employee, tinanggal na. Tapos, kinasuhan siya criminally and civilly, may administrative case. Gano'n, Pagka kinasuhan pa naman na administrative case, yan, sayang yung kanyang, wala siyang makukuha, yung kanyang pension, wala siyang makukuha sa government. Pagka kinakasuhan ng administrative sa ombudsman niya. Tapos yung criminal sa DOJ yun. Kasi bilyones ang nawala sa BIR dahil doon. So yung suppression machine, huwag kayong pakampante, huwag yung gagamitin. Bakit? Alam niyo ba kung sino pa nagtitinda ng suppression machine? Mga suppression na devices, sila pa yung nagsusumbong sa BIR na gumagamit kayo. O kasi sila, yung iba dyan, yung BIR registered. So, nire-report nila through a tax reporting, pwede sa SLS, yan, o kaya din sa Alpha List, yung QAP, ganyan, or yung sa Saudi, kung sino yung mga kliyente na binentahan nila ng mga devices. O, ayan, intentional or not intentional, alam na isumbong kayo nung inyong nung binilihan nyo ng device. Lalo na kung may resibo yun, diba? Diba? O yun. Yun yung hindi nila nakita doon, The moment na ni-report ka through an OR, kasi syempre issue ka ng resibo. Ilalagay nila yun sa kanilang Alpha List, ilalagay nila yun sa kanilang sa kanilang SLS, pati andong full kanila. Yan. Ganun yung mangyayari. Now, Section 6, Electronic Records Maintenance and Location Requirements. Yes, merong cloud. Merong location. Saan mo to i-save yung electronic records na maintenance muna. 6.1. 6.1.1, the taxpayer's computer hardware or software shall accommodate the extraction and conversion of retained electronic records in accordance with Revenue Regulation 16-2006. 6.1.2, records that are retained by copying or backing up the data to another medium must be done so in accordance with the media manufacturer's suggested procedures, with particular attention given to the suggested shelf life of the medium. Information recorded on a rewritable media such as computer hard disk must be backed up on CDR or DVD-R. Tape or other suitable medium to avoid accidental loss, deletion, or erasure of the recorded information. Now, hindi lang CDR or DVD-R yung kanilang choices. Pwedeng yung external drive na, yung 1 TB, yung mga ganon, yung tag. The 3,000, di ba yan? Yung 4,000, ganon. Yung mga ganon. Kasama na yan sa choices na kung saan nila pa pwedeng save or store yung data. The media containing the recorded information must be stored in an environment free from hazards that could affect the media such as magnetic fields, direct light, excessive moisture, and temperature extremes. Ayan. Kasi kapag yung humid ang inyong environment, yung inyong lugar, nasisira yung mga nasisira yung storage. Nasisira yung mga DVD-R, yung may mga ganon. At lalo na kung mayroong magnetic field, sirang-sira ang data mo. Yun. Kapag ka na-magnetize niya. Di ba minsan katulad ng inyong ATM, pagka may magnet yung pitaka mo, wala. Kaya huwag kayong magpipitaka ng may magnet. Kasi pag nadikit yung ATM niya doon, masisira yun. Ganon. Kasi ganun nangyari sa akin eh. May nagregalo ng wallet, may magnet ang wallet, yung sarahan niya, ayun, nakalagay doon ng aking ATM, at wala akong kaperahan sa pitaka, pinaayos ko pa yung ATM, 3 days wala akong pera. Yan. Dahil hindi ako makabidraw. Hindi ako kasi makapunta, pwede mag-over the counter, pero, ang lugar kasi, puro ATM, nalayo yung over the counter. Yan, during that time, nung nasira siya, pero ngayon kasi ang dami ng bank. Pwede ka na mag-over the counter anywhere. Kasi may ganun din sila. 6.1.3, it is the taxpayer's responsibility to ensure that the current and our prior period data files have been archived or backed up properly and adequately to meet books and recording obligations. 6.1.4, when backups of electronic files are being used as a method of record retention, procedures must be put in place. Ensure that the backup data files can be restored in a format that will be accessible and usable by the BIR. Ensure that the intended data is actually being written to the medium being used. Ensure that the backup procedure does not override prior period backups or logs, destroying them. Ensure that the medium is uniquely labeled in a readily identifiable manner. Then, ensure that a log is prepared to identify what records and data have been recorded on such medium. Ensure that the log states how long this medium is to be retained before it can be overwritten or discarded. Then ensure that the name of the software and the version number used to create the records are noted on the medium label and in the log. H, ensure that the proper electronic business system, software, and operating system are available to restore the backup files to their original environment. Then, I, ensure that there is periodic testing of backup records to verify that the backup records can be restored into an electronically readable format. Okay, ito na yung location. Location. Okay. Location, 6.2.1, records must be kept at the taxpayer's place of business in the Philippines or another place designated by the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. Okay, kapag ka nasa cloud, kasi sabi sa Philippines eh. Oh. Pero pwede ka another place of business. Kung nasa cloud, yung sino man yung nagmamaintain sa cloud, nasa Pilipinas. Ngayon, kung hindi sa Pilipinas, ano nangyayari? Tingnan natin dito. Bahasan natin. And must upon request be made available to revenue officers of the BIR for audit purposes during business hours. Records kept outside the Philippines. Ito ha. Records kept outside the Philippines and accessed electronically from the Philippines are not considered to be records in the Philippines. However, where records are maintained electronically in location outside the Philippines, the BIR may accept a copy of the records. Provided these are made available in the Philippines in an electronically readable and usable format for BIR officials, and they contain adequate details to support the tax returns filed with the BIR. So, pwede naman yung naka-cloud. Yung cloud kasi, minsan yung mga servers, no, nasa ulap, nasa ibang bansa, no, sa ulap ng ibang bansa. Ngayon, ang sinasabi ng BIR, hindi siya considered as records kept in the Philippines. Pero kung hindi siya kept in the Philippines, kailangan available, no? Merong available na electronic copy sa Pilipinas. Eh, since in-accept mo naman, di ba, pagka in-open mo yung data mo, dito ka naman nag-access sa Pilipinas. So, made available in the Philippines yun. Okay, yes. Yun ha. Ganun yun. So, kapag nasa cloud, yun. Kailangan alam din lang ng BIR. Yun yung tatanong sa inyo ng BIR. Okay, naka-cloud yan, saan naka-store? Saang bansa. Ngayon, kung pwede bang ma-access sa Pilipinas yun, bibigyan mo sila ng access. May sinasabi bang bibigyan ng access? Ang sinasabi lang may accept a copy of the records. Pwede bigyan mo sila ng kopya ng records. Okay. 6.2.2, all retained records must be clearly labeled and stored in a secure environment in the Philippines. Authorization to maintain records elsewhere may be granted, subject to such terms and conditions as the Commissioner of Internal Revenue may specify in writing. These terms and conditions, which are identical to records maintained in the Philippines and which apply to electronic records, specify that records stored outside the Philippines are to be made available to officials of the BIR for audit purposes. No, kailangan yung mga stored records outside the Philippines be made available to officials of the BIR for audit purposes during business hours in accordance with the provision of National Internal Revenue Code as amended and this revenue regulations. Actually naman, kahit hindi pa man audit time, nagsasubmit ka na ng electronic records yung mga computerized accounting system ng January 30. So, available na kaagad yun. Hindi na kinakailangan to be made available pa. Unless lang, hindi ka nag-comply sa January 30, kailangan pagka after audit ka, nagbigay ka ng copy. Yun. The authorization will be maintained by writing to Office of the Commissioner of Internal Revenue or its authorized representative. 6.2.3. Normally, a backup of the electronic records are stored at a site other than the business location for security and precautionary purposes. In case of fire, fraud, theft, or other cause. The BIR requires this business practice and backup copies must be maintained at a location within the Philippines. So, dapat meron kang backup at yung backup mo ay nasa loob ng Pilipinas. Yung mga copies ninyo, no? Backup ng electronic records. It is the taxpayer's responsibility to produce the records for inspection no matter where the records are located. So, hindi mo pa pwedeng sabihin hindi mo ma-access kasi nasa ulap ng ibang bansa. Responsibility mo being, cash owner, being, being an LTP na nakakas, responsibilidad mo yon na i-produce yung mga records. Yun. Walang excuse. Kailangan, mo yan, no? Yun, available siya for inspection. Kailangan i-produce mo yan. 6.2.5, businesses that operate via the internet and are hosted on a server located outside of the Philippines should be cognizant of the responsibility to maintain the records within the Philippines. Internet-based businesses have the same responsibilities related to record retention as all other business operations. Kung ikaw daw ay internet-based, ibig sabihin web-based yung na nakakapag-record ka, na-access mo yung pagre-record through a web page. Halimbawa, yung server ng web na yon nasa ibang bansa, kung paano yung itong RR 9-2009, kung paano to, tsaka yung nasa iba pang assurances, dapat pina-follow mo din and applicable din sa'yo yun. Yung sinasabi nila. Use of third-party electronic records maintenance. So, 6.3. 6.3.1, A taxpayer may engage the services of a third party to provide custodial and/or management services of the records and shall notify the BIR prior to such arrangement. Such utilization of a third party shall not relieve the taxpayer of its obligations under these regulations. Kahit meron pang third party na nagme-maintain ng iyong records, ikaw na taxpayer pa rin yung may obligasyon sa iyong mga records, na hindi ka nire-relieve. Ikaw pa din, no? Not relieve. Hindi nire-relieve ang taxpayer sa kanyang obligations ng pag-maintain ng records o kung ano pa man yung mga nababasa na natin at nakasulat dito sa issuance na to at sa iba't iba pang mga issuances. Section 7, access and submission of electronic records. Okay? The manner in which the BIR is provided access to electronic records as required in subsection 3.2 of this regulation may be satisfied through a variety of means that shall take into account taxpayers' facts and circumstances through consultation with the taxpayer. Such access will be provided in one or more of the following manners. The taxpayer may arrange to provide the BIR with the hardware, software, and personnel resources to access the electronic records. Ayan yan ha. Kapag kayo na i-audit ka na or kailangan ng BIR ng record mo, no, ikaw na taxpayer ang magpaprovide ng hardware, ng software, at saka ng personnel na mag-a-access dun sa records na yun, no? The taxpayer may arrange for a third party to provide the hardware, software, and personnel resources necessary to access the electronic records. Kung gumamit ka ng third party, ikaw din ang taxpayer ang mananagot doon, no? 7.2.3, the taxpayer may convert the electronic records to a standard record format specified by RR 16-2006, including copies of files on a magnetic medium that is agreed to by the BIR. The original files, yung unconverted format or files in its native format, should also be submitted along with the copies of the converted files. Yeah. 7.2.4, the electronic or the 7.2.4, the taxpayer and the BIR may agree on other means of providing access to the electronic records. So, yun nga, kung hindi yung normal na, na pag-access sa records, pwede namang pag-usapan kung paano pa ma-access. Alright, section 0.8. Nasa page 10 na tayo. Malapit na tayong matapos, no? 2 pages na lang. Alternative storage media, section 8. 8.1, for purposes of storage and retention, taxpayers may convert hard copy documents received or produced in the normal course of business and required to be retained under this regulation to microfilm, microfiche, or other storage-only imaging systems, and may discard the original hard copy documents, provided the conditions hereunder enumerated are met. Documents which may be stored on this media include, but are not limited to, general books of accounts, journals, voucher registers, general and subsidiary ledgers, and supporting records of details, such as sales invoices, purchase invoices, exemption certificates, and credit memoranda. 8.2. Microfilm, microfiche, and other storage-only imaging systems shall comply, among others, with the following requirements. 8.2.1. Documentation establishing the procedures for converting the hard copy documents to microfilm, microfiche, or other storage on this imaging system must be maintained and made available on request. Na? So, ito yung mga requirement mo kapag kayo yung ginamit mo, yung alternative storage, diba? So, such documentation shall at a minimum contain a sufficient description to allow an original document to be followed through the conversion system, as well as internal procedures established for inspection and quality assurance. 8.2.2, procedures must be established for the effective identification, processing, storage, and preservation of the stored documents, and for making them available for the period they are required to be retained under Section 10. 8.2.3, a person in authority within the organization has confirmed in writing what the program will be part of the usual and ordinary activity of the organization's business. Said person must execute a sworn statement that the original source documents have been converted strictly in accordance with the standards and verified to ensure its integrity and completeness. 8.2.4. Upon request by the Commissioner of Internal Revenue or its duly authorized representative, a taxpayer must provide facilities and equipment for reading, locating, and reproducing any documents maintained on microfilm, microfilms, or other storage-only imaging system. Ayan yung taxpayer, ikaw ang magpo-provide na yung facilities mo at saka yung equipment para ma-access yung mabasa yung iyong records. 8.2.5. When displayed on such equipment or reproduced on paper, the documents must exhibit a high degree of legibility and readability. For this purpose, legibility is defined as a quality of a letter or numeral that enables the observer to identify it positively and quickly, to the exclusion of all other letters or numerals. Readability is defined as the quality of a group of letters or numerals being recognizable as words or complete numbers. All data stored on microfilm, microfiche, or other storage on the imaging system must be maintained and arranged in a manner that permits the location of any particular record. All right, next. Page 11 na. Thank you, Lord. 8.2.7. A logbook shall be maintained to include, among others, the following information: the date of imaging, the signatures of the persons authorizing and performing the imaging, a description of the record's image, and whether source documents are destroyed or disposed of after imaging, and the date a source document was destroyed or disposed of. Yan. Kailangan may logbook ha. Alright, then 8.2.8, there is no substantial evidence that the microfilm, microfiche, or other storage-only imaging system lacks authenticity or integrity. Otherwise, such converted documents may be wholly or partially disregarded by the BIR during tax audits or investigation and shall resort to other evidence best obtainable to establish the correct tax liabilities of the taxpayer. 8.3. Prior permit from the BIR is required before use of microfilm, microfiche, and other storage imaging systems. Dapat itong 8.3 nandun sa pinakauna. Kasi ang dami mo nang sinabi, kailangan magpapaalam ka muna o meron ka munang permit bago mo gamitin itong microfilm, microfiche, and other storage system. Dapat itong 8.3 nandun sa 8.1. Diba 8.1 is alternative media. Ayan, storage media. Or at least man lang nasa 8.2. Kasi ginawa-gawa mo na lahat, hindi ka naman pala nagpaalam sa BIR, wala ka permit to use, wala. Diba? Ang dami-daming sinabi. Ayan muna, magkuha ka muna ng permit, no? Bago ka gumamit ng alternative storage. Ayun yun. Okay, 6.9. 6.9, section 9 pala. Section 9. Yes, 1 page na lang. 2 pages, 11 and 12. Okay. Effect on hard copy. Record keeping requirements. 9.1. Except as otherwise provided in this section, the provisions of this regulation do not relieve taxpayers of the responsibility to retain hard copy records that are created or received in the ordinary course of business as required by existing law and regulations. Hard copy records may be retained on a record-keeping medium as provided in this section 8, in section 8 of this regulation. Kailangan meron ka daw hard copy. Malamang-lamang kasi manghihingi sila ng hard copy kapag ka nag-audit na. Kailangan may hard copy ka. If hard copy records are not produced or received in the ordinary course of transacting business, e.g., such hard copy records will not be created. Easy when taxpayer uses electronic data. Such hard copy records will not be created. Okay. 9.3, hard copy records generated at the time of transaction using a credit or debit card must be retained unless all the details necessary to determine correct tax liability relating to the transaction are subsequently received and retained by the taxpayer. In accordance with this regulation, such details include those listed in subsection 5.2.1. 9.4, computer printouts that are created for validation, control, or other temporary purposes need not be retained. O yung mga temporary, kung ano daw, temporary printouts lang siya. O, hindi mo na kailangan ulitin. Then 9.5, nothing in this section shall prevent the BIR from requesting hard copy printouts in lieu of errated electronic records at the time of examination. Ayun yun, ang sinasabi niya, ito na nga. Pwede silang mag-request ng hard copy. So, kung nag-request sila ng hard copy, prepare for a hard copy nitong electronic records. Yan yun. Okay. Section 10. Nangingiti ako kasi last page na. Last page na. Section 10, electronic records retention ng yung time period. Hanggang kailan mo i-retain ng electronic records? Let's read. 10.1. All records required to be retained under this regulation shall be preserved pursuant to Section 235 of the NIRC unless the BIR has provided in writing that the records are no longer required. Section 235 daw. Okay, Section 235. Tingnan mo ang Section 235. Yan yan. Section 235. Punta tayo sa BIR. Section 235. Sana may tax code ka agad dito para hindi na go to homepage. No? Dapat dagdagan nila. Tax code. Section 235. Ang Section 235 ay dito natin makikita yung size requirement. Okay. Section 235, walang binabanggit na panahon. Wala akong makita. Ito yung 5 years sa 10 years, depende. Actually, 10 years pala. Like, ito, meron, sa ibang video ko i-discuss yung preservation of records. Siya, 5 years and 10 years. 10 years siya, 5 years physical, tapos 10 years yung electronic. Yan. Section 235. Section 11, registration requirements. All computerized books of accounts, electronic record keeping, electronic business systems, and components thereof shall be registered with the Bureau of Internal Revenue in accordance with RMO number 29-2002, 29-2002, and all other pertinent issuances. Ngayon, itong, bukod sa babasahin mo si RMO 29-2002, basahin mo din si RMC 5-2021 kasi nandyan yung application and registration. Okay. Section 12. 12.1. Any violation of the provisions of this regulation may result to prosecution of the taxpayer by the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Upon conviction, the taxpayer shall be held liable to the penalties provided under Section 255 of the NIRC, in addition to any other penalties otherwise payable. Yung mga violation daw ha, Section 255 i-apply sa inyo. Tsaka yung iba pang penalty. Merong penalty na Section 30, repealing clause, all existing revenue regulations and other issuances or portions thereof are inconsistent, hereby or herewith are hereby revoked, repealed, or amended accordingly, provided that if any provision or section of this regulation is held invalid, the other provisions or sections shall not be affected thereby. Section 14, ang effectivity clause niya is, this regulation shall take effect after 15 days following its publication in any newspaper of general circulation. Since 2009 to, so effective pa rin to. No? Hindi naman to nire-revoke, ina-amend lang. So, yung ibang provisions nito, kung hindi siya amended, effective pa rin. No? Itong RR 9-2009, katulad nito, ang RMC 5-2021, isa sa yung isa sa nagdagdag sa kanya, no? Na-ano ba yung record? Okay! If you learned something in this video, let me share you more kung saan kita pwedeng matulungan. Dito sa website ko, yan, 𝗬𝗧𝗔𝗕𝗖𝗍.com, visit my website. Mag-opt-in ka or mag-subscribe ka. Ito, stay in the loop, get notified about the latest Philippine payroll, tax, accounting, bookkeeping, consulting, and productivity releases, newsletters, and updates. Plus, get your free revenue regulation or RV-1. Ito yung the bookkeeping regulations as amended digital copy. Itong RRV-1, ito ay isa sa mga issuances na ginagamit o nagre-refer yung mga revenue officials and BIR examiners when they are checking whether your business is complying with its tax obligations, when they are verifying your annual inventory list or AIL compliance, when they are inspecting your books of accounts, when they are verifying your documentations and bookkeeping compliance, when your business is under tax examination and investigation, and many more. Itong RRV-1 na hindi available sa BIR website. Nakahingi ako ng copy sa national office. Ayan, gumawa ako ng compilation and I am giving this for free. To get your copy, just enter your name and your email. Then, i-click itong red button, yung yes, notify me, and I want to download my copy. Remember lang, no, na ikaw ay makaka-receive sa akin ng mga emails. At huwag ka naman mag-unsubscribe. Yan. Alright, once you're done with filling out this modal form, yan, you can click this close and navigate my website. Yung mga ganyan. With that, I'd love to know what are your takeaways in this video. Please comment them below. If you have questions, paki-leave sa comment section below. I'll try to answer them or feature them in my Q&A series videos. Please like and share my YouTube videos and subscribe to PTABCP Business Coaching YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. See you in my other videos.